Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. I want to first open with the fact that this is Sushiswap. We're taking a look here at Sushi, and just a technical analysis. There's no fundamentals here, and these are always typically requests from my community members. Now my patrons, of course, I honor their requests more frequently just because they are contributing members, so I really do greatly appreciate you. Thank you, Jesse, of course, for recommending that I cover this here today. But moving forward, if you're new to the channel, this is for educational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do have years of trading experience. I have over 15 years of successful trading, and I average about 80% success rate now on average in crypto. So it's been fantastic, and I love the fact that everything's kind of reliant on Bitcoin, because if you understand Bitcoin, you understand all the other altcoins too, for the most part. And we're going to look at that here today. And also, too, if you're kind of more of an autopilot person, of course, because you will learn a lot here today, don't get me wrong, but if you like to learn more and essentially, follow the trades that I trade, I provide all my trades with my community members. So check that out, link in the description below. I provide entry points, best practice, profit targets, sell targets, everything you really need to know to make sure that you stay afloat in this industry. And we're having a great time. It's been a good successful setting so far. I mean, we're closer to I think 50 members now in just over 2 months. So it's been awesome. Thank you again to all of my patrons. Really appreciate you. You know who you are. Thank you. All right, moving forward, without further ado, I tend to ramble. Apologies for that. Let's just go ahead and get right into the charts. Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at Sushiswap. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to get a baseline of the market so we know exactly what's going on, because any good trader will understand how Bitcoin is performing before they jump into a trade. Likely the reason why this coin is taken off here today is because there's some price action, some consistency with Bitcoin. We see that happen quite a lot. So first of all, just to preface, I use TradingView.com desktop application. Recommend the paid versions because you get more than 2 indicators present at any given time. If you're interested, check out the description below. I have a link there for a free month to see if you like it. Try it before you buy, right? That being said, we're looking here at Bitcoin 4 hour. And just to preface, there's a lot of lines here, of course, but the price just broke above the 200-day simple moving average and the 50. It broke also above the resistance, about 46,800. That was working as kind of the upper part of the channel for the last few days. So ever since this major sell-off, it's been kind of stuck between 46.8 with a low of about 44,000. Okay, so it's ramped up pretty consistently here the last few hours, basically a couple of days, and it doesn't show any signs of slowing. This is actually healthy that we see some sideways action right here, so we can get some consolidation before the next hopeful breakout up to about 50,000 plus. Okay, so that's kind of the state of Bitcoin right now. Oh, also to note, I forgot to mention, part of the reason why this could be happening, again, this isn't 100%, this doesn't always come to fruition because we didn't have a long period of consolidation prior to this, but there is essentially a golden cross that occurred here today with the 200 intersecting, or sorry, the 50 intersecting in upward fashion with the 200. But notoriously that fails when we have a short period of consolidation prior to that. Okay, just keep that in mind. Not to say it's going to reverse or turn around, but we're not still out of the clear yet. That doesn't mean we just go all in at this point in time. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Something to note. All right, moving on to Ethereum. A very similar scenario here, only we have a death cross in the 4 hour chart. And I give you the bunny ears because of the fact that that doesn't, again, 4 hour chart isn't as effective as 1 day for one. And for two, when Bitcoin's taken off, none of this really matters, right? For the most part, Ethereum's been fairly reliant on Bitcoin. So what we should see here is that this resistance level of about 35.50 will likely break here in the near future. It's getting tested right now. So hopefully, if the 1 day chart can close above this level, then we're gonna be looking pretty good here for Ethereum. Okay. But all in all, pretty standard Ethereum stuff here. Hypothetically, if Bitcoin can continue to run towards 50,000, we will definitely see Ethereum take off and test its previous all-time high of 4160. Moving on to Sushi here. So again, thank you to my members for requesting that I cover this here. Haven't touched this in a little while, but we'll go ahead and kind of recreate some support and resistance levels to make sure we're on the right track there. And for obvious reasons, we haven't broke this yet, but the most recent high is right here at about 1470. So the price needs to close above 1470 on the 1 day chart here in about 2.5 hours in order for that to become a support level. Keep that in mind. A lot of people think that, yes, oh, great, we're above, it's all good, let's just jump right in. No, wait for it to come back down to test and likely hold above that. And once that happens, then it's open season more so. Again, not 100%, because you got to keep in mind, Bitcoin's done very well in the last 24 hours. Or actually more so 48 hours. So therefore, you can kind of see this amplification for Sushi. It's basically like a 2x to Bitcoin right now. So keep in mind, it's very reliant on Bitcoin doing well. If Bitcoin suffers in the next, the near future, and keep in mind, September is statistically a bad month. It's usually a red month. You can expect for Bitcoin to maybe go sideways, retrace a little bit. If that were to happen, Sushi would likely do the same thing as well. So again, don't get super excited, but of course, this is very nice to be able, hopefully you bought the dip here somewhere around $11 and you're seeing some profits. If so, move your stop loss up. Make sure you take some profits while you still can. I mean, some people will fault me for taking profits too early, but profit at the end of the day is still money in the pocket, right? So it's something that you want to be able to grow your account with, and that is important. It's important to not be greedy, okay? So just take what you can while you still can, because we don't really know how much longer this will last. Again, I'm not trying to concern you at all, because we're definitely looking good on the Bitcoin side of things, but I think it's almost too good to be true. The price has just gone consistently up higher. And I think with September being traditionally a red month, I think that you want to just be careful and cautious and pay attention to that, okay? You look back at 2000, and actually what's funny, I got this pulled up here. Take a look at this. So October 2013, right? We're up 63%. But look at this, September is a red month, right? Probably went down about 5 or 6%. Here, probably down somewhere in the range of 10 to 20%. But again, the month after, October 2017, 48%. Now you're probably wondering what I'm pulling at here if you're not familiar with the channel or just in general, the 4-year cycle. Every 4 years, history has a tendency of repeating itself. So you can kind of see these similar figures that have occurred, these similar patterns essentially, that keep reoccurring every 4 years. And coincidentally, September's always been a red month. So we look right now here, September is in the green right now. I still think there's a likelihood it might end up retracing and we may not break 50,000. That's just my overall thought process. But we've got a couple more weeks to go, so we'll see what happens. So just know that could factor in here. All right, just keep that in mind. So don't go balls to the wall with your crazy stuff. Have a good risk tolerance. Make sure your stop losses are in place. Be smart. Don't think we're out of the clear or out of the woodwork yet. That being said, that's kind of where we're at there. We got a potential golden cross coming up here for Sushi. Prices above 50 on that RSI. That's a very good sign. It means we're back in bullish territory. We did have a MACD convergence here just yesterday, as a matter of fact. So that would have been a good time to have taken entry. And all in all, good things here for Sushi. So all the technical stuff looks great, minus the back end stuff you may not already see. That being said, we have on the 4-hour chart, we're looking good here as well, up above both moving averages. We're trying to break this resistance level of about 1470. We will see if it happens. It does look likely for now, but it's still a little too early to tell. We got almost 2.5 hours left of trading. There's a good chance it could retrace, come down, and consider to be rejected at 1470. But that's kind of the major catalyst here. So in 2 hours, just say roughly 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you see the price on the 1-day chart close above 1470. We're going to be looking pretty good, okay? In other words, you can adjust your stop loss higher. You can expect that to be considered a support level instead of a resistance moving forward. And we might have that opportunity to see some sideways action, some consolidation, and then an increase afterwards. At least we want to see that because, this is a good little bull run, don't get me wrong, but, it's got this up over pattern. Without it going over here, we're going to see some problems with it when it might actually retrace. Because again, you want to see a nice staircase pattern for any type of bull run. It's all well and good that it jumped up twice here, but without this little period of consolidation here, this little 16 hours of sideways action, this second leg up wouldn't have happened, right? That's what needs to happen. Keep that in mind. Now let's go ahead and move on to TD's. We'll look at TD Sequential and Ichimoku Cloud on the 1 hour. And as we can see, obviously the price is above the Ichimoku Cloud. That happened quite a while ago. In fact, that's right where the MACD converged on the 1-day chart. So hypothetically, you took entry at this point, you'd be taking some serious profits right now. So I hope that you had taken profit or had taken entry somewhere in the range of $10 to $12, because anything in that range would have been good. And the reason why that that would have been beneficial is obviously coins like this. When you look at the 1-day chart, you can see how well it was doing prior to Bitcoin selling off right here. I think there's a strong likelihood it's going to continue upwards, right? So again, just something to kind of note. Pay attention to how coins are responding before the sell-off and kind of get an idea of what their average range and what their trajectory is. And there's a likelihood of it kind of getting back to where it should have been. Because just say Bitcoin hadn't sold off under 50,000, or we didn't have the September 7th debacle right here, we would have probably seen more sideways action here. and then a ramp up, right? So the price probably could have done one of these. Instead, it did one of these, and now it's catching back up, and it could very well catch up again, right? So it could continue. I think there's a strong likelihood of that. A lot of coins that are breaking their recent highs are able to kind of continue going on tears to test their previous, most previous all-time highs, right? So we want to mark that too here as well, because there's a couple of them here. Let's just make sure we have that on the perspective. These will be your profit targets, or just under. So whenever I set profit targets to my community, just say I send a signal to my my patrons, I always have my profit targets just below the resistance level, is a major resistance level, just in case it doesn't break through, we still can take profit, right? So consider that yourself, but regardless, we're just going to mark these here for future reference. So when I look at this here again, perhaps in a couple of days or a few, maybe a couple of weeks, we'll kind of have perspective on kind of where we're at. But we got this nice open range here, so to speak, nothing major in between here and there. So there's a good chance Bitcoin, jumps up to 50,000, closes above on the one month chart, for example, and we're going to be looking really good for Sushi to kind of continue to progress upwards. All right, so back to the 1 hour chart. Well, again, we're above the cloud. If you're new to the cloud, essentially, it's considered a buy signal when the price breaks above the cloud. It's helpful to use that in conjunction with a MACD convergence on the 1 day or the 4 hour chart. And we already identified that yesterday, the 14th of September, we had a convergence on the MACD on the 1 day chart. Right, so that's where those kind of line up here. So anywhere in this range would have been a good entry point. Obviously, lower the better, but you can never truly find the bottom. I prefer to jump in when the stream is flowing and not try to swim upstream, so to speak. I go downstream with the bulls and essentially just cruise till I get to my profit target. Again, easier said than done, but that is kind of what you want to look for. Moving on to TD Sequential. Now, we're going to probably see this is getting close. Yep, close to a state of exhaustion. Now, if you're familiar with TD Sequential, then great. If you're not, I'll educate you, just so you kind of know what this means. TD Sequential basically takes the fourth previous candlestick, and if it's lower, it continues to count up to a 9. Once you hit 9, that's essentially considered to be a state of exhaustion. Okay, so once you hit a 9, right, and let's take a look here. You can kind of see a 9 right here. I'll make this a little bigger for you. This guy right here is a 9er. All right, so once we hit the 9, that basically means that, hey, we've got a pretty strong little bullish trend here. This little push from 1 to 9 essentially gives us an indication that, hey, the bulls are in control, but they're possibly going to lose control. There's oftentimes a retracement or sideways action that occurs after the 9 happens. So we see a 9 here, we see some sideways action, and then it starts counting up again. This is perfect. This is why bull runs succeed, right? This is the only reason why, because literally, if this gone straight up to here without the sideways consolidation, we would have seen a retracement come back down. Like, say, for example, it comes up here, it would have came back down anyways. So why not just have it go up here comfortably and up and over? Again, I know it's easier said than done, but generally speaking, that's what we want to look for. So identifying this as a positive, that's definitely what it is, right? That being said, you see the 9 here, of course. It stops counting. It goes sideways, and it kind of goes in a state of consolidation where we see a bunch of 1s and 2s, then it starts counting up again, because again, this candlestick is higher than the fourth previous. That's why it keeps counting up. Therefore, what this means for us is we have hypothetically 2 more hours worth of bullish momentum, okay? So there's a strong likelihood that the price could continue to increase over the next 2 hours. But my guess and my hope is the fact that this is such a sharp increase, because you look at this here, in only 3 hours, it's jumped up about 15%. That's getting close to the standard deviation lines of just say a volume weighted average price. It'll kind of show you that the price is getting kind of held down by that. I'll show you what I mean by that in the 15-minute chart here, but generally speaking, that is a pretty high standard deviation, so I wouldn't be surprised if the price kind of consolidates and just hovers either above or below this support or resistance level of 1470. Currently a resistance, bear that in mind, it's still resistance, but could be a support if we get the 1 day chart to close above. Okay, so again, 2 more hours, we'll see what that happens. So coincidentally, we'll either hit a 9 in 2 more hours, or just kind of, it might cancel itself out. It will still hit a 9 and probably go sideways, considering the fact that this candlestick is much higher. Regardless, you don't need to know that, but generally speaking, we have a good solid bull run here, but we need to see some sideways consolidation for, I would hope, for another 12 to 16 hours before it legs up again. Okay. All right, so that's just kind of where we're at there. So all in all, pretty good stuff here for Sushi. I like everything that I see here so far. Let's go and take a look at the EMA and VWAP. Now, EMA and VWAP is interesting. It's my favorite tool as a day trader. Okay. Now, I've always done swing trading. I love it. And you can still use it in conjunction with swing trading, but it's more of a day trader's tool. Let me explain. On the 15-minute chart, first of all, you got a VWAP. It's a volume weighted average price. That's this blue line here. So I have it colored bluest. I don't think by default it's blue, but it's my blue line. And what that is, basically when the price is above, it's considered a support level. So the view app line becomes a support. When it's below, it's considered a resistance, right? So we've pretty much seen the price above the line the entire time, minus this period of consolidation. So sideways action, it's hard to get a read on it, right? We have to see some kind of bullish or bearish trend for it to kind of work as your friend, right? Therefore, the VWAP is essentially telling us the volume of this is the volume weighted average price, right? It takes the volume less 24 hours expressed as a price. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, coincidentally, at the end of the one-day chart when that closes, right? That exact same time the VWAP resets. That's because it's built on traditional trading styles, because you have post-market hours that close at 5 p.m. Pacific, depending on the time of year, of course. But that being said, we see this little line come up here. This is where it resets, right? So the standard deviation is essentially getting reset. And what I mean by standard deviation is I'm talking about these lines here that you might see when you enable it, right? So you see how the price is staying above those standard deviation lines? That's causing the price to kind of stay within that, right? If it goes much higher, then it starts to retrace. So we're looking up here right now. See how much higher this is from the standard deviation? That's probably well over 10%, probably closer to 20. Okay, it was at about 12%, but now it's down to about 9. So now it's about comfortable, right? So the bottom line here is the fact that with the price being so high above that deviation from the VWAP, in other words, based on the volume, the price is much higher than where the volume is anticipating the price to be. We're looking at the price coming back down, has to retrace. It's that kind of that natural law of, I guess, that gravity, if you will, for trading. It happens everywhere, not just in crypto. But crypto is more common because the prices tend to jump up because there's hype trains and a lot of manipulation in the market that you just kind of can't control. But the bottom line that I'm trying to get at here is that when you see a price so far away from that standard deviation line, you can expect it to come back down. Okay, so never try to be one of those persons that buys the top or gets in. You don't want a fear of missing out when it comes to the price shooting straight up like this. Perhaps in the first run when you get this first little bull run, maybe. But if it's a second leg up like this, respect the resistance levels first and then consider entering. In other words, by respecting this resistance levels, if you're taking entry right now, you're not respecting the entry level or the resistance line, because the fact that the candlestick hasn't closed yet. Okay, we need the one-day chart to close above 1470 for it to be considered a support. Because there's a strong likelihood in the next, just say, 2 hours, we might see the price go here and then close here. And if this is 5 o'clock at this point right here, then we did not break that resistance level and it's still considered a resistance. Okay. And that's what I mean by respect that, because that could very well drive the price down. Say Bitcoin sells off, it goes down 5% tomorrow. Then you're going to be kind of stuck in a trade and you're going to be having an open position right above resistance and you kind of screwed yourself, right? So just respect support and resistance levels. That's the main takeaway here. And try not to memorize all the crap that I just provided to you. Obviously watch some of my other videos, you'll kind of get the feel for it. And honestly, if you are new to the channel, join my Patron account. Honestly, I provide every single trade that I take with my community members and explain my trades that I take. And we even have a private chat where we can kind of communicate openly about best practice and things to help you become more of an effective trader. But I like to provide you with entry points, profit targets, sell targets, everything you need to know, so that way you can kind of follow the day in the life of a trader, but concurrently also learn as much as you can in that time frame. Okay, so check that out, of course, in your own time, but just recommend exercising caution. I'm a very conservative trader myself personally. Been in the industry for about 15 years, and I don't like losing money. I mean, I have about an 80% success rate for a reason, because I take profits while I still can. So if you're in the profit right now, don't be greedy. Don't be a diamond hand holder. Take some money, maybe just 25, 50% of your total position. Close that, and just consider buying in at a lower point, because the probability of this going much higher right now is pretty low. I think we're at the highest point in which it should go for now. And I think in the near future, it will possibly continue to pump up. I think that's very likely, but we need to see more action from Bitcoin. And right now, Bitcoin is essentially going, I mean, it is going up still, don't get me wrong, but I think it's also reaching a state where it's kind of overextended. Okay. And again, September being a notorious month for sell-offs and kind of being more so a red month, I think we're kind of, we're gambling if we're not, again, honoring these resistance and support levels. All right, so hopefully you found benefit. I hope you do. I hope this didn't provide more questions than answers. If so, feel free to message me through Telegram and, consider joining up. But needless to say, I do appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.